I can't think of a service more confusing than today's liturgy. We begin our liturgy by shouting, "Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord, Hosanna in the highest heaven." All in the backdrop of drums, we wave our palm branches and file into the church with great excitement, almost as if the coronation of the soon-to-be King of Israel was imminent. We got that coronation, just not the way you or I would have ever imagined. Far from a regal investiture, Christ dons an elegant purple cloak, but after twisting some thorns into a crown, they strike his head, spit on him, and kneel down to mockingly pay him homage. As he hangs there nailed to a tree, the taunts continue until that loud cry, until he breathed his last. This Sunday begs the question, how did so much change so quickly? As we move through Holy Week, we'll hear some of those answers. Judas setting up that fateful transaction, Peter denying Christ, those in power acting out of jealousy, as others in power just wished to satisfy the crowds, all as a centurion stood and watched as an innocent man was crucified. These sins of greed, cowardice, jealousy, complacency, and apathy, sins that come all too quickly to mind when I examine my own conscience. These were the sins that took us from that majestic entry to the slaying of that innocent lamb. What we see on the cross is the final battle between our free will and God's love for us. On one side of this battle, we see the God incarnate who came into this world not to condemn it, but to save it, to nourish it and feed it, to heal it and forgive it. What we see is that Lamb without blemish reminding us of that prophetic cry from so long ago. Do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with your God. But on the other side of this battle, we see our sin, our propensity not to do what is right, but to do what is easy. On the cross, we no longer see metaphorically that death is the penalty for sin. Instead, we see it all too concretely as Christ's tortured body hangs from the cross. At this point, it appears that free will has won the battle. Then Jesus gave a loud cry and breathed his last. The words from Psalm 51 always echo in my heart at this moment. For thou desirest not sacrifice, else I would give it. For me, that sheds light on what exactly happened at that third hour. I don't see a wrathful God finally getting the sacrifice that he had been waiting for to have his anger satisfied. I don't see a confusing assertion that God would send his only begotten Son to be crucified as a necessity for our salvation. For thou desirest not sacrifice, else I would give it. But what I do see is a father looking down and weeping for his son. I see a God who chose to dwell among us, feeling the pain of the flogging, the mockery, and the nails at the insistent demand of God's very own creation, at the behest of God's very own people. I see God and a centurion exchanging a glance that seems to ask the question, why? And then I see a God who looks up from his weeping and says, enough, tearing the curtain of the temple in two. I see a God who cries out, your sin crucified love, and now my love shall destroy your sin. You chose death, and now I will accept my beloved as the final and perfect sacrifice, granting unto you eternal life. Why? Because there is nothing, neither curtains nor crucifixion, which shall ever separate you from my love. I love you, and you are marked as mine forever. The love of this story is so powerful that John Chrysostom writes, when Christ was crucified, the whole world became the temple. At the moment of the crucifixion, God's love and mercy became so evident, so tangible, so accessible, that it could no longer be contained within the four walls of the temple. The Spirit of God's love burst through the walls and engulfed the whole world in mercy, a mercy available to all who but ask, betrayers, deniers, cowards. It's a mercy that's infuriatingly wide, even available to those who looked on as an innocent man was slain. But it is this mercy that gives us our message of Christian hope, that by Christ's wounds, our broken world can be healed. Because in this battle of sin versus love, love always wins.